Governor Cooper shared that he's deployed 350 soldiers and airmen from the North Carolina National Guard. Cooper says swiftwater rescue teams are also on standby because of the storm. The governor noted that President Joe Biden approved an emergency declaration for the state. That approval will allow FEMA to coordinate all disaster relief efforts. But before the storm heads toward the Charlotte area, the governor and other leaders stressed that their biggest concern is that potential for flooding given the estimated rain totals. He stressed the importance of staying off the roads as the storm moves across the state.
Now is not the time to see if your car floats, because it doesn't. It's not safe to drive or walk through floodwaters.
The governor also acknowledged the ongoing comparison between this slow-moving storm and Hurricane Florence. He said in rebuilding from Florence, the state has worked to rebuild in a more resilient way. He added that he hopes some of those improvements in parks and catch basins can help to absorb floodwaters and prevent other areas from flooding. The governor also noted how important it is to have a hurricane kit ready should you lose power. He said North Carolinians should stay connected with local media and resources to track the storm. Of course, here at WBTV, we'll have you covered on air and online through our WBTV News.